me try to do some summarizing, like I always do. I take notes as we go through. As you guys say something that creates a thought in my head, I jot them down. Let's see how well I can try to put together some reporting here. When we talked about examples, I heard about some tremendous progress being made. Every panelist talked about progress and feels very good that we've come a long way. Obvious things are we're saving money. There's some tremendous savings. I think Scott quoted some numbers, and some others did too. We heard about storage as a service at the IRS and what that means, where you're only actually using and paying for what you're actually using. And I think that kind of a concept will continue to evolve over time. We talked about how cloud and managed services fit in, and they really are included within the strategy. Either you can say data center consolidations within the cloud strategy, or the cloud strategies within the data center consolidation. But essentially, they're not mutually exclusive. They're now merging together and becoming one way to go. And we talked about platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, where I then said, it looks to me like everything as a service. And of course, we've finally found our way to data center as a service here in this last segment. Benefits, we have the obvious one being money, but the other ones that came across too that I think were important were the inventory of applications, knowing what we have for perhaps the first time, being able to do away with redundant stuff that perhaps we don't need. I like that idea of time savings. As you begin to consolidate, simplify, you're actually creating more time to focus on things that need to be done. And that led to some of the economies of scale issues that were brought out that, in some cases, perhaps an agency can support some of the other subcomponents that wouldn't have the wherewithal or budget or funds to actually be able to get something done. But when being done in a consolidated world, it leverages those costs across smaller groups so that people can afford this stuff. High availability and security came out as another area that benefit that emerged from the conversations, and just the idea of having better information by rationalizing those applications. When we talked about lessons learned, people pieces jumped right in there, and the culture issue, I think, just came out right away. It's a culture shift. You're asking people to do different things. It's not going to be the way we used to do things in the past, and that in and of itself becomes a challenge. Change control came up too, that as you're making these changes, all these pieces have to be tested and work together. It's very easy to start putting these pieces together and come up with some surprises that you don't want to hit. We heard about get the analysis right, and I heard a whole lot about leadership and the education and collaboration. This isn't about one person or one IT person that's going to take a lead here. This is going to be leadership at the top with collaboration across the entire agency in order to get to where you're going to go in a way that's going to benefit everyone. When we talked about vision, we talked about digital services. I thought was a very interesting comment. We talked about mobility, people working anywhere. The data center as a service concept is something people are looking at for the future. And the people mission focus. What came across to me too when you were talking about better prediction of weather, when you're talking about the war fighter, when you're talking about IRS thing, we're really talking about saving lives here, aren't we? We're really talking about, in the case of IRS, making life simpler for people. When we're talking about the Air Force, we're talking about being able to defend the country. So, I mean, when you take it to that aspect, it's a lot more to it than just technology. It's all about the real issues of saving lives.